Like Gore Vidal, I never wanted to do anything else but go to the movies. Perhaps because Werner Herzog, the brilliant German director, was right when he said that movies can transmit ecstatic truth, a special truth full of deep human meaning. Well, my name is Jim, and these are the Academy Movie Junkies. This is our studio, and we're very proud of it. We like it. And in here, we're making a series of programs for the internet about movies. And I'll ask my on-air colleague, Brian, to explain a bit about the movies.
Thanks, Jim. Well, what it is we try to do here at Movie Junkies is we take a look at films dealing with drug addiction and alcoholism, films generally dealing with darker or heavier topics, and we try to relate them to different topics in recovery. And what Jim and I do, as well as all the junkies, is we go around campus and we talk to people here, at this treatment facility, Gatehouse Academy, about what their view is on the film or on that specific topic.
Mr. Blake, I'm Jean Craddock from the Sun Scene. Tape recorder okay?
Go ahead, that's right.
What's your real name?
I'm Bad Blake. My tombstone will have my real name on it. Until then, I'm just gonna stay bad.
Your heart's on the loose. You rode them sevens with nothing to lose.
Where'd all those songs come from?
Life, unfortunately.
Place for the weary kind.
I'm 57 years old. I'm broke.
Why don't you sit down and write some songs, huh?
Keep talking.
You called all your shots.
I keep feeling obliged to apologize for being less than you probably imagined me to be.
Somehow this don't feel like home anymore.
We ought to go out and find some trouble to get into.
Yeah, big trouble.
And this ain't no place for the weary kind.
I knew what the risks were with you, and I took them.
This ain't no place.
It's one hell of a song.
Your mind.
This is gonna be your best year in the last 7.
Never too late, son. Never too late.
Pick up your crazy heart and give it one more try. This ain't no place for the weary kind.
Thanks for coming out. It's so good to be home.
Well, Brian, Crazy Heart is such an amazing movie. It's an easy movie to watch, kind of even keel in so many ways, and yet the performance of Jeff Bridges is so good. Anyway, the thing that I was thinking of, this thing that struck me was at one point he says, I think it was when the child got lost, he said to Maggie Gyllenhaal, Irene, I think her name is, he says, everything's okay, and she says, everything is not okay. And that really struck me, because I remember thinking everything was not okay. When I was drinking, I'd lose my keys, I'd leave my car running and lock it. Everything was not okay. I would make all kinds of mistakes. I'd had a car accident. Things tended to go wrong. But it's a great movie with a tremendous performance, directed by a first film, written, produced and directed by Scott Cooper, I think. Good.
Definitely, Jim. I agree with you when you were talking a bit about how it's kind of an easy film to watch. I think while watching it, I had that feeling of this is kind of just a slice of life film, and it is very even keeled while there is kind of personal disaster going on throughout the whole film. And watching, Jeff Bridges plays Bad Blake, the kind of old, semi-washed up but still has a strong following country singer. And kind of watching his decision making and watching the things in his life kind of fall apart as he, falls further and further into alcoholism. You know what I mean? It's something very relatable for me, myself being an alcoholic. And, it was a very powerful film, and I think it deserved all the accolades that it did receive. And I know that today we're going to be talking to some of our people here and hearing what they have to say about it.
As Bad was progressing in his disease, his career was also going down, and he couldn't relate the two. He didn't have the skill or he was blaming other things. Wasn't showing up for rehearsal because he was too drunk, winding up in the alley, throwing up because he couldn't stay on stage, and yet he was continuing to blame the other people in his life for his career going down. That's part of that denial system that you see working for an addict, and minimizing the impact of drugs and alcohol on their life.
When I did most of my minimizing was in college. As I'm sure you and a lot of people are well aware of, college, the scene is pretty, there's a lot of drugs and alcohol. I knew that I didn't drink like normal people, but I wanted to continue doing that. So what I did was I oftentimes looked at other people's addictions with substance and alcohol abuse, and basically pit myself up against other individuals who were worse off than I was. And basically, as long as I wasn't doing what they were doing, as long as I wasn't drinking in the morning, as long as my living room floor wasn't, littered with bottles of alcohol and pieces of tinfoil, then I was all right. Lo and behold, it had gotten to a point where I was I did turn into those people. And then I just, basically deflected and switched from, well, at least I'm not shooting heroin. At least I'm not smoking meth. And oftentimes I was confronted on the issue of my drug and alcohol use, to which I would usually just reply, well, so-and-so's so much worse than I am, and I can totally curb this. It's just that I choose not to.
Do you agree that there needs to be a turning point and a point of desperation in order to get better?
Yes, I was really struck by the one point in the movie when, which was the turning point. Actually, it was the turning point not just for Bad, the alcoholic, but it was the turning point for her too, for Jean. It was when she, up to the point in the movie, if you remember, when he'd lost the boy, and they had just they just found the boy, and he was saying it's going to be all right. And it was the first time she ever had the backbone to stand up to him. And she turned back to him and said, "It's not going to be all right." And for her to have had that strength to put reality back in his face was exactly what he needed. Breakthroughs come in all different shapes and sizes.
I think I realized that I had a serious problem when the well-being of other people was no longer important to myself, to me. And, I stopped caring about myself a long time ago, and up until a couple years ago did I just stop caring about everybody in general. And realizing that I'm going to have to work at this for the rest of my life is not as overwhelming as I originally thought it was.
Well, the thing about Crazy Heart that is different from so many films is about these kind of things. It doesn't end the way you expect. It ends the way most things in life end. The love interest doesn't end up being with the central character, and yet it's all good, and that's good. So it's a real portrayal of alcoholism, and a real portrayal, I think, of what it's like in the recovery period, and it's an excellent film.
Definitely, Jim. You know, as you were saying earlier, kind of how nothing really big happens in the movie. It just kind of paces along. I think that, you know, the director did a really good job in kind of capturing the indie sensibility with such a big name, and just, you know, this being a piece of somebody's life. You know, it just so happens it's a country star's life at the time, and I don't know. I found it very, very realistic, and Jake again, but in, you know, all the performances and everything that happens. There's nothing too out of the ordinary that happens. It's just the life of an alcoholic, essentially. And so we do have notes on the film. If you email the address at the bottom of our screen, we can get back to you. I think that these notes will really help you in understanding how this film relates to alcoholism and addiction.
Hold on, I'd like to say one thing.
Yeah.
Just keep on going. You okay with that? T-Bone Burnett. Oh, I forgot to mention how authentic the music is, and that's because of T-Bone Burnett's musical score, and how he handled it. He's a Nashville regular, and it's excellent.